May all beings be happy. May all beings be healthy. May all beings be free from harm. May all beings love life. May all beings awaken. Welcome to another Cuke audio podcast. I pray that you and yours are safe and comfortable, free from economic hardship, and able to get out and do whatever it is you want within the limitations of the universal precept of do as little harm as possible. So, today we have another Life in Bali, and we have a guest, Nick Kimman with the Ragam Foundation, which helps people here in Bali, and you're going to hear about that. So let's just give him a call right now, and we'll see what Nick does. Hi, Nick.
Hi.
Ta-da! So here we are. Your name is Nick Kimman.
Yes.
Right. And you have the, what's the name of your foundation?
So the foundation is called Ragam Foundation.
Ragam means variety.
Yeah. So the idea behind the name is, it means variety and diversity.
Oh, diversity. There you go.
Yeah. Because the programs we do are diverse, the people we work with are diverse, the people we help are diverse. So it just kind of encapsulated everything that we kind of do. And that's kind of the reason behind that.
Oh, that's great. Well, I haven't met you, but my wife Katrinka has, and she was very impressed. She came home and said, "Hey, you got to do a podcast with this guy." And I heard it from others too, in Biwa. So why don't you just tell us what you do?
Well, we're doing quite a lot of things. But I guess the fundamental basis of Ragam is connecting, highlighting, and supporting any organization, initiative, and individual that might need it, with the idea to move programs along, to help make things more streamlined and organized, and to make sure that fundamentally people get helped at the end of the entire process. We can't do everything alone, so we're not trying to reinvent the wheel, as they say, but I've realized that I've got a knack for connecting people and for just connecting dots in general. So I might know someone from, let's say, Social Impact, Jerome, who is doing water filters.
Oh, yeah. I know him pretty well. Yeah.
Yeah, so I've helped him quite a few times by connecting in with communities, with individuals, and with just other partners who are in need of water filters. So I've gone with him to villages, I've distributed with him like all over Bali, to make sure it goes to the right place, I guess.
Yeah.
I've done the same with Terra Water. So that's kind of how again, we're not doing the filters from scratch, but we help facilitate the distribution. So that's one thing we do. I've helped, just not even it's a team. So we've got a team of, I guess the core team is around 5 people. So it's myself and Dini, my fiance, and then there is Pa Yuda, Pa Ari, and Pa Melky, who have been working with me for a long time. And yeah, we basically just help out wherever we can. Right now, one of the main projects, I guess, is the kitchen. So I've got a kitchen set up in Kerobokan at the moment.
Right.
That's open 5 days a week.
Now, can you explain why you opened a kitchen in Kerobokan?
Yeah. So why Kerobokan is, location-wise, it's not too far off from Denpasar or Canggu. So it's a good kind of middle ground location to get all the volunteers and communities that want to support to go there.
Yeah.
I used to have one, or I used to help one, sorry, in Canggu, and which is good, but you get people that want to help that come from Denpasar. It's too far to go all the way there. Distribution wise, most of the food that comes from this kitchen goes to Denpasar, Renon, Sanur, or Kuta, Legian, those areas that are more heavily impacted.
Right. Now,
Um,
now, who is this food going to, and why are you distributing food?
okay, so a good question. So I decided not to do care packages, as that's done quite extensively, based on the fact that care packages is harder to sustain, and there's a lot more ingredients out there that can be changed into nutritious meals instead, allowing you to impact larger communities on a more consistent basis. So I could help a family, let's say, on a daily basis by cooking food instead of giving them a dry care package meal every single day or every single week. Um, Another reason is it kind of gives a more communal aspect to it. So more volunteers and people can come to the kitchen to join and be a part of this action and initiative,
Hmm.
bringing in their donations, their time, not only with food, but we collect any clothing or teddy bears, for example, from Biwa and distribute those.
Biwa, let me interject here. That Bali
Yeah,
International Women's Association.
yeah.
Why do these people need food?
Oh, because of the pandemic, because the economy has been incredibly hit. And
Yeah.
lots of people here are having to choose between food or medicine or food and their own rent. We distribute to families who have to choose which kid gets food on which day, or skip a meal entirely for that day because they can't afford it. So for
Mm.
families like that, I provide food on a daily basis through distribution channels that we have set up, and also through our own team. Uh, Honestly, I could be cooking thousands of meals per day, and you'd still only be scratching the surface of what people need
Mm.
help with.
Hmm.
The idea is also if you give them a meal that's cooked and is nutritionally balanced, then you know that they will have eaten this meal for that day. And without food or without the energy that that gives, you can't really work or look for work or take care of your family or do any of the necessary things that you might need to do.
Right. Right.
So, which is why fundamentally food is, I mean, it's also one of our basic needs, right? Food, water, and shelter. So, food plays that integral part of allowing us to just keep going.
Yeah.
Um, so, that's why the focal point is on food, at least for this kitchen, of course,
Yeah.
instead of the care packages. Because this way I can,
When you say care package, you mean like Zimbabwe that just
yeah,
has rice and
yeah,
eggs and oil and I mean
yeah,
uncooked rice, you know.
which is completely fine, and it also helps for the long term. But lots of people are either too busy or don't have the means to cook. So I've met a few places and
Right.
people that, okay, they might, you might give them the ingredients and they can use these ingredients themselves or they can sell it on, or which is not a problem because at the end of the day, you've helped someone regardless of whether they personally consume it or not.
Yeah. Right.
But
Now, is this does Ragam Foundation focus just on Bali, or do you move outside of the borders of Bali?
so we've actually distributed the biwa bears all the way up to Banyuwangi. So that's the furthest we've gone. So that's just in Java, right
Yeah.
one ferry right away.
Hmm.
So we went there with Global Village Foundation, who helped, or not who helped, sorry. Global Village Foundation had a program where they were distributing around 80 wheelchairs to disabled kids in Banyuwangi.
Hmm.
And as emotional support, I sent along the one of our team members, Ibu Nurul, went with Global Village Foundation with the 80 Biwa Bears, along with some soap,
80.
some hand.
Wait. 80 what?
Uh, Biwa bears, the teddy bears from Biwa.
Oh yeah, right. The
Yeah.
poohbah bears.
So
Okay,
they've
that's
I,
great.
the Biwa bears have become little champions. I always call them because we've distributed a lot of them now. And honestly, wherever they go, they are the star of the show. We could be bringing rice and clothes and all this other stuff, but the bears are always the highlight.
Mm-hmm.
There's just something about them. I could tell quite a few stories actually, but the one that I always stands out is there's this one girl in Banyuwangi, who I forget now exactly what she had, but she had a mental and physical disability. She
Mm-hmm.
was given dolls throughout her life and always kind of rejected them. Her mother, tried to give her some things to comfort her, but she never really wanted to keep or accept the dolls. She just kind of pushed them away or eventually just didn't really want to keep them anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But when Ibu Nurul went there and gave her one of the Biwa bears, she grasped it and held it so close to her chest. And she
Mm.
can't really communicate vocally as well, but she can write a little bit.
Mm.
So she wrote to Ibu Nurul a small message basically saying if she could have another bear so her bear wouldn't be lonely. So then she
Oh.
had two bears, and I still get updates from the mother, and she says like she still holds on to these bears every single day and doesn't want to be separated from them.
Oh my
And
gosh.
this is one of the many instances where these bears have really like touched the hearts of these kids.
Mm.
And I think it's because I haven't met the lady who made them, but I've heard a lot about her.
Mm.
Um, they're made with love, right? And they're distributed with love, and there's
Mm.
no commercial or any intention behind it, and it's just such a pure thing. And I think they resonate with that, and it's just been amazing.
Mm.
So
Mm.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
I'm
Sorry,
going to
go
ask
ahead.
you one thing here. Now, there were these mudslides up north,
Yeah,
and I remember hearing that you went up there and set up a kitchen up there,
yeah.
and you told Katrinka it was so remote. Don't even bother to come here. And
Well, it was. It's okay to go there. She wanted to send bunkus of food,
right,
but the distribution it is quite remote. So if you don't know exactly where you're going, it's difficult to kind of reach the
right,
people.
right.
And everything at that time had to go through like the main Banjar office. So it had to be like brought to this one focal point,
Yeah, I
and
had to
then
go through the
redistributed.
community center office. Yeah.
Yeah. So personally, I did the same, but I just set up the kitchen at this community center.
Oh, smart. Good. Yeah.
Um, yeah, which was good. It was we did it for just the weekend because I was busy again with the kitchen in Kobokan the following Monday.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
And
yeah,
my understanding is they really needed that kitchen because there were a lot of people there who had lost their homes and they had no
yeah,
kitchen.
yeah, exactly. So, and that's the also one of the reasons why I focus on cooked food now is because not everyone has the capability to cook their own food or the time or the energy to do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this community up there, there's 370 homes lost, if I remember correctly.
Wow. Wow.
Um, if you give a family who's lost their home, who's lost their kitchen, their method of storage and everything, if you give them a care package of uncooked rice and stuff that still needs to be processed, I mean, yes, it can help, but ultimately they can't really do anything with it right at that moment, right? Because their
Mm-hmm.
fundamental need is getting their house back, getting their infrastructure back, so that they can use what you've given them. So the kitchen was important because it was processing the large amounts of ingredient donations that were being received there. So
Mm-hmm.
processing that and cooking not only meals for the uh, victims, I guess, or the people who were directly impacted by the
R-
landslides and earthquakes, but
Yeah.
also for the many volunteers and teams that were there working tirelessly to help organize everything, distribute everything.
Right.
So
Right.
it's I'm a firm believer in, everyone works together, we eat together, and we help other people together. Just because you came to, yeah, I don't know, it was good. It was a good weekend.
Wow. Wow.
But we went there. Actually, I went there Saturday again to the main office just to see how things are going, and very quiet now. So yeah, it's quieted down quite significantly.
Now, when you say it is quieted down, is that do you have a positive or a negative
Uh,
implication there?
I think it's a bit of both. Because what tends to happen, at least from what I've seen in these kind of events, is there's a lot of relief sent straight off the bat. It's like straight away, it's disaster relief, it's
Yeah.
immediate. When, again, in some cases, this mountain of food, that there's still quite a lot of food sitting there, is not needed where we don't, that amount of food isn't needed straight away. So when I was there, when it was really busy, we talked to some of the people in charge there, and around 500 families would need, I guess, the support. Um, but they had enough care packages, or they could put together enough care packages for about 2,000. So you've got quite a large excess of food stock available that can't be used. But that's because it's this immediate. How do I say? Lots of people, the intention to help is good, but there is like there needs to be some foresight in terms of what is needed first.
Right. Right. Right.
So
But now,
right
wait a minute. When
now,
you say it can't be eaten, can it be eaten later?
well, yeah, but if you store rice for a long time, you can get, and not properly, you can either have mold growing inside, or you can have the lice, so rice
Sure.
lice
Sure.
inside.
Yeah.
If you leave eggs for too long, they go rotten, so you have to make sure that that gets distributed. So there's quite a lot of management involved when it comes to keeping food safe and edible. So that's
Right.
that's what I meant with that.
Right. 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 Yeah.
Um,
Right. Um,
but right
mm,
now, there's lots of people focusing on the construction, which is good. So there's quite a lot of homes being rebuilt, quite a lot of wells being rebuilt, which is good. And when I say quieted down, I mean that big inflow of support of, like, before they were getting huge amounts of sambaccos and things donated on a daily basis,
yeah.
1 week after the day it happened. So now they basically, no support is sent anymore up there, or very rarely.
Yeah. Yeah. Hmm. So you seem to have an eye for efficiency,
Oh, I
and
guess.
obviously, in a situation like that, that it's best if there's a an agency that the donations go through that filter to each place just what they need
Yeah,
and distribute it so that there's not waste.
and also to kind of prioritize what is needed first, right? Like, what are priority things, what can come later. Um,
Hmm. So,
but
so when
I
you say priorities, that would be clean water, medicine, some basic cooked food, so
Yeah,
people
something
can
like that.
function.
Yeah, like I said, like, if you give them cooked food, then they don't have to worry about having to buy gas to cook with, or fire to cook with, or needing pots or pans or kitchen, right? With
Yeah,
people who have
right,
lost their homes,
right,
that becomes
right,
difficult.
right,
And their focus is rebuilding their home, and they need energy for that. So a
right.
nice warm cooked meal that they don't have to worry about where it comes from is great
Yeah,
and helps a lot.
yeah.
But
Um,
each disaster is different, of course. This was an earthquake and homes got lost. In the case of COVID, yeah, the amount of then care packages make sense because people haven't lost their homes, which is good. So
yeah,
there's lots of organizations that do that.
yeah. Driver, sort of assistant of ours, says, we've been helping some people, just people we know,
Yeah, of course.
already. I mean, we don't have enough to do more. And there's one person we're helping is our gardener. And Newman was driving me. He drove me by his home. He said, "That's his home." I said, "My gosh, that's a nice villa." He said, "Yeah, there's a lot of people like that, rich in land and poor in money."
Yeah, and I think that's also um, I've been asked a lot like how do you identify people who need it? How do you choose who gets and who doesn't? And this was something that was a lot easier to do at the start of the pandemic when it was clear who got impacted more than others, right?
Hmm.
And then I also based it on, well, if you have this kind of job, your savings should be more than if you have this kind of line of work. If you're a person who relies on a daily wage, then you're more likely to need support sooner than someone who had a stable job and let's say a hotel or restaurant management position, right?
Hmm.
But right now we're almost 2 years in, right? Yeah, it's been almost 2 years now.
Yeah,
2 years into this pandemic, and
March, I guess, huh?
yeah, and like I myself have savings, but like I don't have like 2 years worth of savings is quite a lot, right? If you haven't had work for that long.
Oh my gosh,
Um,
yeah.
so even if you're at the management level in a restaurant, maybe your savings might have been only for like 8, 9 months. It's been a lot longer than that. So right now, that bracket of people who could use some, a helping hand is becoming more, I would say.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
There's
yeah,
a woman down the street. I mean, we're we're helping people that are not as in such dire straits as what you're talking about. Uh,
well,
but
everyone needs help.
yeah,
That's
uh,
what I'm getting at is like,
um, and just we can't do much. We do what we can. But there's a woman down the street. I mean, her family has a quite extensive villa down there, but they don't. The guys aren't working. She has a little store that sells fruits and vegetables. She asked me for money
yeah,
for ceremony.
yeah,
You
okay.
know,
I mean,
she'll say,
that's
"There's a
another thing
ceremony
that's
coming.
good.
I don't have any. I can't."
Yeah,
It's like I think sometimes she'd want that before she wanted food.
yeah, that's yeah. Yeah, I've had this conversation a few times, but yeah, yeah, yeah. It's interesting to see the priorities, right? I've had the same with some of the people I've helped. It's like
Yeah, yeah,
it's more important to be able to fulfill the ceremonial obligations than it is to have a meal, or to be able to pay any of the bills or something like that,
yeah.
which also makes it hard, right, for people here because there is that sense of obligation of okay, I need to save money, or how do I get the money to do this ceremony because it's a very important part of their life,
Hmm.
and they do value that. But it also becomes a hindrance and a burden, considering that they have other things that are well, also important, and yeah, income is scarce.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I know some people who sort of resent the amount of money they have to come up with for, and this is before COVID too, for to be Hindu here for them.
yeah,
And this one fellow I've known since we arrived 8 years ago said, there's been, I don't know what he said, 25% reduction in Hinduism here. People
yeah,
becoming Christians because it's a lot cheaper.
yeah. It's true. I know a few who've done exactly the same actually. There's there's one Bapak here, so he's part of Ragam called Payuda. He's been in Bali his whole life, and he was Hindu for a long time, and then he changed to Christianity because it's just it was more it was more
Yeah,
economically of a uh, yeah, yeah, which is interesting. It's interesting that that's the
yeah,
basis for that
yeah,
change.
yeah. In India, a lot of people become Buddhists for more for caste reasons, but
Similar
for
reasons.
for various obligations. Um, so
Yeah, true.
now Ragam uh,
Yeah,
is what is it currently? Are has it in the past, and you plan in the future to be involved with other activities? You mentioned the water filters. We give water filters too, Joran's Nazava water
Yeah,
filters. Because
yeah,
we haven't bought water in 8 years, It's very rarely. And I tell people that. I say, you don't need to. And then we'll give them one of the filters.
yeah, yeah. So that's also. I mean, we're still working with Jerome and with Terra Water as well. And honestly, we're just our plans for the future is just to collaborate and work together with
Mm-hmm.
as many people as possible and whoever we can work with, right? So we helped with
Mm.
a Bali Bersama Biza kind of fundraising event recently. I work together with Bali
Oh,
Life.
yeah.
I send food to the garbage dump in Suwung, the our Bali's beautiful giant trash mountain. Oh yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
food goes there on a daily basis from our kitchen to support the community and the kids there so that they can eat because they earn a daily income of maybe 15, 20,000. And if you give them food, that
Right.
saves them from
Right.
having to buy
Right.
that. They can actually use it for something else.
I didn't
Um,
understand that.
we
Bali
work with Bali Street Moms project.
Street
I just had a
moms.
meeting.
Yeah.
The Bali Street Moms project. Yeah. So they help with well the street women and children by providing educational and economic opportunities, by
Mm.
providing shelter and food. So we're working with them. Um, I've worked with
Ah,
I've set up a garden recently in
yeah.
Uluwatu, or you know the big statue Geweka. The so right behind that there's a community, and then alongside two other
Emasi Tom is
organizations
gold
called
black,
Emas
huh?
Hitam and Food Bank. We
Why?
collectively,
Uh-huh.
yeah. So they are like permaculture experts. So they help communities set up sustainable permaculture farms so they
Uh-huh.
can provide
Why
for
why
themselves.
Emasi Tom? Why
So,
gold black?
because
Black gold, I guess it
yeah,
is.
because I think it's in reference to dirt, so soil. Yeah.
Sure, 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 sure,
So
sure,
they're a
sure.
charity based in Ubud.
Mm.
So it's a collective kind of program, and we help this community that's behind the statue to set up their own permaculture garden, which is going
Mm-hmm.
very well at the moment. There's a bunch of vegetables already starting to grow.
Mm-hmm.
And I've told the community there that whatever vegetables they don't use personally, so any excess that they have from their harvest, I will buy directly from them to be used in my kitchen, and then that food then goes back out to the community. So kind of creating like
Mm.
this circular system that is completely like self-sustainable, if that makes sense. Because one of the this lady who has the land there, she's sitting on 6 hectares, which is a lot. It's a lot of land. But she used to do some farming, but stopped because she could never really the amount of effort she put into it and the difficulty of getting it to market and selling it and actually turning a profit was not not sustainable for her, or she couldn't do it. So
Mm-hmm.
right now, knowing that she can immediately have a buyer and we'll buy directly from her, we also help by providing tools, any compost, anything like that.
Yeah.
Um, this gives them the incentive and motivation to really expand, and they've taken it to such a beautiful level. Like they've taken it upon themselves to make more grow beds, to grow more, to plan everything. So we just gave them the tools, the knowledge, and the security that what they're going to be doing is going to give them income
Mm-hmm.
once the produce is ready. And
Mm.
it's been going great.
Mm. Um, oh, yeah. Have you had any involvement with the any? recycling and people working and trying to reduce the amount of
Plastic waste.
landfill. I've met two Oliviers.
Okay.
Do you know them?
No, not too sure.
One of them, Oliver, they're Oliver Olivier, founded the big recycling thing in Ubud.
Okay.
I'm not,
It's
and the other one has a program right at the landfill de Tepeyac.
okay. I'm not too sure. Is it?
He told me in a year, his and they create fertilizer and
That's
compost,
great.
and he said in a year they process the amount that goes into the landfill every
Oh
day.
well. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's not too surprising. I've
Yeah.
I've been to the top of the mountain to distribute food
Oh,
up there because you can drive your car all the way to the top.
yeah.
So we went up there a few times to hand out the food to the pickers who are sorting through the tip of the trash mountain. Uh,
Yeah.
it's intense. It's intense to look at because you're standing there with a beautiful 360-degree view, but underneath you is like 30 stories of trash.
Yeah.
And then you just see an entire queue of truck after truck after truck that's full to the brim, making this
Yeah.
30-story trash mountain even higher and higher.
Right.
It's quite a sight. And
Um,
they're also planning
yeah.
to start a second mountain. I heard recently when I was there to distribute food again, they were like, yeah, there's like plans or talks, or I think maybe already started, but they're going to start the second mountain because this one is already reaching its kind of height limit.
Right. I heard they wanted to build the second mountain on the spot where the people live who picked through
Yeah,
it.
yeah, there's quite a few talks, and there's also I don't think that will happen because otherwise, where will these people go? Um, but I
Yeah.
think the second one is going to be adjacent on land, reclaimed land, or something like that, because they're doing quite a lot of land reclamation there at the moment.
Where?
Uh,
Where? I hope they're further away from the
because
ocean.
it's quite close to the highway, right? The garbage dump.
Close to where?
It's
Close to
it's
where?
relatively close to the highway entrance.
Oh.
Um,
Oh.
I mean, not too far off from the highway entrance is where that mountain is, and
Right. Wow. Yeah. Oh, and you know, if they just separate organic
yeah,
from inorganic, they wouldn't need this giant mountain of trash.
well, I think at that point you might have two separate mountains, but at least the organic we could process. But definitely the non-organic will still have quite a lot to do, just because the sheer amount of plastic that's used,
Oh yeah.
especially when
No,
you
no, I mean,
consider the single uses, the small little
oh
sachets,
yeah.
all the little kopuk bags. Every time you want to get some
Oh,
kopuk, you get it in like a small thin
right.
plastic. But yeah, organics, if people separated that and we just composted everything, that would be great. As compost is
Yeah.
in quite high demand, especially with farming that's starting to boom. More and more people are farming at the moment. So if we just separated that and then like had communities that were focusing on composting only. So let's say you have one community that focuses on farming, you have another community that focuses on composting, you have another community that focuses on seedlings. The farm will buy the compost from the compost community and the seedling community, and then they will sell the vegetables to the kitchen, and then the kitchen will just kind of cook and give back to the people.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of how I hope things will go, and it's starting to slowly do
Yeah.
that, but it'll take a lot of
Yeah. Well, um, nobody would who doesn't know better would guess this, but you're Indonesian, right?
yeah, I mean, uh, kind of, yeah. It's I've been here since I was born. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And were your parents uh, Indonesian citizens
No.
or not?
So I'm still on a Dutch
No.
passport. I'm still on almost. I'm working on a new kitas at the moment, like I do every year, basically.
Kitas. You have a kitas and but you don't even have a kitap?
No, not yet.
My God, man, how old are you?
26.
Oh, you're very young. Oh, well, let me just explain that the kitas, which is what we
Yeah.
have, is the temporary
Yeah.
residence, right? It's sort of something like that, temporary residential
Yeah.
visa.
So
And you got to renew it every
yeah.
year.
I know.
Whereas kitap, it like that moves, after, after 5 years you renew it or
Yeah.
something, and then you're just like a permanent
Yeah.
resident.
That's true. Um.
Uh,
Well, it's just because I went abroad for studies when I was 18 and didn't come back until I was around 23. So that kind of,
oh, I see.
yeah,
I
so
see.
that put
I
some sort
see.
of, I don't know, Indonesian bureaucracy is beautiful and
Yeah.
there's always something. It's a work in progress. Uh,
Yeah.
I'm engaged now, so maybe the marriage route will be faster. But
Mm.
who knows?
Uh, you know, there's to me, things are done fairly
Yeah,
efficiently by the bureaucracy in a number of areas, like the and all the cooperation and volunteering that went on in getting as many people vaccinated as
yeah,
possible. That was
that
pretty
was very
impressive.
impressive. I agree. That was very well done.
Uh, I'd say that was and the lack of
Yeah,
opposition. We're from America. In America, there's so many people
yeah.
fighting. It's like these factions fighting each other over this stuff. Ah, well, when you studied, what did you study and where did you study?
I studied, so I did a BBA, a Bachelor of Business Administration, with a major in marketing, I guess. Um, it was a 4 year degree. I did 1 year in Singapore. I did half a year in Dubai, half a year in Jakarta, and then 2 years in Australia. Um,
Ah,
so it was a kind of travel as you study kind of degree.
cool.
Uh,
What's your what were your parents?
My dad's an environmentalist and my mother's an artist. Yeah.
Artist? Yeah. And where are they from?
Originally from Holland, but they've
Mm-hmm.
been here 30 something years now. They also
Uh-huh.
they actually came to Indonesia to study, uh, and then fell in love with the country and with each other, and then the rest is history, as they say.
Oh, did they come separately?
Yeah, they came separately, and then they met in Yogyakarta.
Oh,
Yeah,
did you say
yeah.
Jogjakarta? Great town. I love
Yeah,
it.
and it was back then. It was kind of the place where lots of exchange students from international communities went to because it was like the study city. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah,
Yeah.
after Australia, I worked there for a while in kitchens. So after I graduated, I didn't want to do business, or I didn't want to wear a suit and go into offices. It's not really. Plus, the job market for that was very competitive and oversaturated. Everyone wanted that kind of job.
Uh-huh.
Always loved to cook, so I was like, all right, let me just see what I can find in the
Huh.
culinary industry. Worked at schools, worked at care centers, then ended up at food trucks, which was the highlight. I explored lots of Australia in a food truck. Did a
Huh.
few cafes, and then felt it was time to go back home. Kind of had enough of the Western world, and then
Uh-huh.
yeah, I came back to Bali.
Oh, where were you doing the food truck and
In
all that?
Australia, in New South Wales.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So
where did you go to school here? Like elementary,
Oh,
juniors?
uh, so in Bali, I only went to high schools. I arrived in Bali when I was 13.
Oh, did you all come from Jogja or
No,
somewhere else?
I was born in a small village in Kalimantan, so in Borneo, uh,
Wow. No kidding.
and then moved from that village to a city called Balikpapan, where I went to a Australian elementary school um, in an American community. It's a
Uh-huh.
very interesting place to live because we lived like quite locally, but the school was in this compound, which was like a very expat compound. You had to get through a gate. So it was going from one world to another world every single day.
Right, right.
Um, then went to a city called Palembang in Sumatra. Then lived in Jakarta for a while, and then finally went to Bali.
Ah,
Yeah.
so did your parents come to Bali?
Yeah, my mother did. So my
Hmm.
dad moved around a lot for work, hence the first few years of constantly moving. Then my mom wanted to settle down somewhere, kind of plant her roots, so decided
Yeah,
on Bali. So this is like home base now.
yeah. Ah, ah. So what do you see? You're awfully young. You're 50 years, you're what, 51 years younger than me.
Oh
uh,
wow.
what do you see for the future?
um, I'm not too sure. I mean, like I'd like to continue what I'm doing now with Ragam and make it grow to the place where I want it to go. One of
Hmm.
the main things that I constantly strive for is to create that close-knit economy. So, like, create that system of system of support that can run without the need of tourism. So, with the kitchen at its core, with gardens set up around it, with people composting set up around it, so that you can just kind of keep this at least food system going and everyone can have access to a meal whenever it's needed. Expand this to more than just one location. So I've helped another community in Tabanan set up a kitchen already. They're operating 3 times per week. Um, I'm going to be setting up another kitchen in Ubud, hopefully at the start of next month, with the community there. Uh, just to
Hmm.
create like these centers where both expats and locals can come together, meet, and give back to the community, and incorporate that with farms in the area, with suppliers in the area. So it creates like this circular economy that kind of can run without the need of really any tourism. That's that's the I guess long term goal.
Yeah,
Um,
I think you'll get a lot of sympathy because of COVID with that. I mean, I've heard people talking about that, about how dependent they've gotten on
yeah,
tourism, and it wasn't that long ago they weren't dependent on anything. That's what
yeah,
progress does. Is it
yeah,
creates poverty and
yeah,
dependence.
yeah. It's in high school I wrote a paper on the unsustainability of tourism. Uh,
Oh, good.
So that's also kind of where this, I've always been, how do I put it? Yeah. This, everything I'm doing now is kind of what I've been wanting to do since I was a kid, because I've always seen that disparity between the rich and the poor, between the way certain people lived and everything like that. And I myself, right, I'm an expat here, and my level of living was always considerably higher than the friends that I had that went to the kampungs and the villages. Um, so I've always been breaking down the pedestal that people put me on, and wanting to finally be able to give back to the community and the island I call, or not even island, the country I call home.
Yeah.
So I'm finally able to do that.
What? What? Wait. What's the country you call home? Say it again.
Indonesia. So
Uh huh. Uh,
So being able to finally give back to the place that I call home
oh, I see. I see. I see.
is
Yeah, I got a little lost there.
basically the core motivation, and it's making little Nick that had this dream a long time ago very happy to be able to do this.
Mm.
So yeah, I won't be stopping anytime soon. I just want
Yeah.
to see how far I can take it. Again, how many people
Yeah.
I can collaborate with, because I'm not trying to do this alone or be like the center of
That's
anything.
good.
It has to be a collaborative effort. It has to be diverse.
Yeah.
It has to be joint,
Yeah.
devoid of ego, devoid of greed, just for like yeah, the betterment of just life in general. You know, it's definitely
Yeah.
possible, and we've seen that happen, just step by step.
Well, I think that's an excellent approach. Yeah, the the strength in numbers
Yeah,
there.
exactly.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. You know what the strength in numbers is the example is if you hold up one twig, it'll break, but if you put them
Yeah,
together, they won't. You know what
yeah.
that? I think that's called the fascia, and that's where the word fascist comes
Okay.
from. But it
Uh,
was a good example until I learned that. So, what about COP26 and climate change and all that? You spend any time thinking about that?
uh, I mean, yeah, it's hard not to think about climate change, considering how it's pretty much affected this island already over the last few years, with rainy seasons being constantly unpredictable, and having talked to quite a few farmers who say they can't really rely on the usual weather patterns anymore, and they lose crops because of it. So it's impacted the
Yeah,
island. But personally, I don't know a substantial way of how to combat it besides just making sure that we have as little of a polluting footprint as possible. So like again,
yeah,
we all the organic waste we compost ourselves and use in the garden. Plastic and
yeah.
everything gets separated as much as possible. Um, you know, those small
I
steps. But
Yeah, you're coming back here.
yeah, sorry, I think my earphone unplugged.
Yeah,
It's
it
just
did, but it didn't. It only changed the type of sound. We could hear you fine.
okay. Yeah, so in terms of doing substantial things, I would say, to combat climate change, I haven't thought about, just because I don't have the technical knowledge to come up with some sort of invention or new process or something that will be able to help that along in a big way. But I'll support any initiative, program, and opportunity that comes along that will able to do that more. So like there's a guy called Janur. He has the plastic exchange program that's doing incredibly well. He's been nominated to be one of the CNN heroes recently.
Mm,
So his
mm.
program is one that follow closely, and I try to support whenever I can. Then there's Sungai Watch.
What's his name? What's the name? What's the name of his
The
program?
program is called Plastic Exchange.
Hmm.
So he's helped. I think he's helped clear. I'm not sure of the exact number now, but last time I spoke to him was I think around 12 tons of plastic from villages in the north of Bali.
Uh huh.
Um,
Ooh,
so
wonderful. Good for him.
yeah, there's quite a few, and
Yeah.
then there's Sungai Watch, who's helping to clean up the rivers and waterways here. There's Plastic Bank, who's doing similar as Plastic Exchange. So there's a lot of initiatives
Hmm.
that are already doing or tackling that. And
There
again,
seems to be a lot of growing
yeah,
awareness, much more so than when we first arrived just eight
yeah,
years ago.
100%.
Uh,
It's increased, and also now with more composting. So the way that I guess again it doesn't really help climate change directly because again it's a very small impact, but just making sure that we don't contribute to organic waste that gets decomposed and just produces methane
Yeah.
gas. That we try to limit as much plastic use as possible in our entire process.
Yeah.
Things like that, right? In order to not contribute more. Um,
Yeah.
and I guess by helping to distribute water filters and making people more aware of them and raising money for that, then you're also reducing the amount of plastic bottles that these communities and people need.
Oh,
So it becomes
yeah.
kind of a
Orange.
trickle down effect.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. 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 Well, that's all really very inspiring. Um, are you where are you located in
yeah,
Sonora?
I am. Uh,
Yeah. I remember Katrinka told me that. Well, I'd like to meet you
yeah, that'd be
sometime.
great. I'd love to meet you as well.
Do you have a center or a office
Um, I mean, I guess,
or a site where we could meet, where I could, see,
well,
or I could just go to your
yeah, I
kitchen.
was about to say, if you want to see operations, then best place to be would be the kitchen, because there we have the little farm set up, we've got our composting set up, and we've got our kitchen operation set up. Um,
Yeah, and that's in Karangasan.
in Kobokan, so right next, really close to
Kro-
the prison.
oh,
Yeah,
Kurobukan.
so
Oh, yeah, I get
only
because
only about
Katrinka does stuff in
yeah,
Karangasan. Kurobukan,
so
right.
only about
I've been to the prison, so
25 minutes
yeah.
away by car, something like that, depending on
Yeah,
traffic, of course.
25. That's optimistic. You must ride a motor scooter
Yeah,
there.
I also go very early in the morning, so there's never any traffic.
Right, right. But there's not as much traffic
No, not
now,
as
of
much.
course. I mean, it's a big difference.
True.
But have you noticed the traffic picking up?
Yeah, especially in the center. I mean, Denpasar never really quieted down too much because it's very local. But yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen it pick up in areas like Ubud and Canggu. Canggu especially. Canggu has become beautifully congested as it used to be.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Uh-huh. Well, Denpasar has I know it. I've been amazed all the way through the pandemic how much activity there is, but it's not the gridlock type
no,
traffic that I expect. I'm not afraid to be in Denpasar at 4 o'clock.
true,
Now we can get out.
true. Yeah,
We can get back in
it's
less
not a,
than an hour
yeah,
and
you're right.
a
It's not completely uh,
half.
congested at point of standstill. That's true.
Yeah. Um, well, that's great. I really appreciate it. Repeat the name of your
Sure.
foundation again.
So it's a Ragam Foundation.
Ragam
Yeah.
Foundation,
And
and
then,
you got a website, I'm sure.
yeah, we're still building the website. It's just been me. So we've got an Instagram that's more active just because it was quicker to set up.
Yeah.
So that's just at Ragam Foundation. Website should hopefully be up and running by December. Just
Huh.
add
All
in all the
right.
details in terms of how I want it to look. I want it to be
Well,
as seamless to access every information as possible.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
then the kitchen is called Bagi Bagi Nasi Kitchen. So
Bagi
Bagi
Masi.
Bagi Nasi. So Bagi Bagi.
Oh, Nasi. Bagi
Yeah.
Nasi.
So
Yeah. Sharing
yeah,
rice, would you say?
exactly. So that can be found
Yeah.
on Google Maps. And I guess if anyone wants to come by, we operate from 10 a.m. till around 2 3 p.m. You can come whenever you'd like, stay for as long as you want. Any help is.
Can I eat? Can I come there and
I
eat?
mean, you're welcome to try a bunkus. We always need food testers to make sure it all tastes okay.
Uh-huh.
Actually, today we made sandwiches as well as nasi bunkus because
Oh,
yeah,
really? Yeah, now that's unique. You don't see sandwiches much.
I got a very large donation of really nice bread from one of our partners. So I
Ah, I
made
see.
fried eggplant, caramelized onion, creamy scrambled egg, and of course
Ooh,
sambal sandwiches.
wow. If if I don't have rice, Nyoman, the driver I
Yeah,
mentioned, who I've known for 7.5
yeah.
years, if I don't have rice in the meal, he'll look at it and he'll go, "Where's the rice?"
It's true. Yeah, which is why, I mean, the sandwiches we gave out today, we also gave those people still a bungkus with rice. Because for
Uh-huh.
them,
Uh-huh.
a sandwich is like a snack. We haven't,
Yeah.
you haven't eaten in Indonesia if you haven't had rice yet. I mean, that's the mentality
Yeah. 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 That I don't know if you've ever seen the videos how to be an Indonesian.
Oh, no, I haven't.
Oh, they're terrific.
Okay,
This woman,
I'll have a look up.
I think she's Canadian, but she's been here a long
Yeah,
time, and she just totally is involved in Java local daily life.
okay.
And she and her husband make these very funny videos, and one of them was eating, showing somebody a
Yeah,
pizza, a woman friend of hers. They're very short videos. They're very funny. And the woman goes, I don't know, it's missing something. And he goes to the kitchen, comes back, and has it covered with rice. She says, oh, yes, good. This is
it's a
good.
great pizza. Oh, wow.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks a
Well,
lot,
thank you so much as well.
Nicholas. Yeah, I wish you the best, and I do want to go see you
Yeah,
sometime.
anytime. I'm there
Yeah,
every day, Monday to Friday. Uh,
yeah. If I come, I'll be coming with
sounds
Nyoman.
good.
So I'm sure he'd like to see
Yeah,
it.
of
All
course.
right.
Well, thank you so much
Well,
for your time. It was a lovely talk.
yeah. Thank you for
Very
yours.
much enjoyed this.
That's yeah. Very good. Very good. Well, keep up the good
Thank
work.
you.
Thank you.
Have a
Bye
lovely
bye.
afternoon.
Yeah, you too. So thanks a lot, Nick Kimman, and uh, really appreciate the Ragam Foundation and what you're doing. And I look forward to keeping up with you and seeing what sort of good deeds you're doing in the future. You're young and you've got a really good approach. It's one that it multiplies. It spreads out to other people. It creates community and cooperation. It's really good. Anyway, thanks a lot. So until next time, this is DC Poohbah of Cuke Audio and Cuke Archives, coming to you from sleepy Sanur with Doggy Bandita, Feline Cuchita, and dear lovely Katrinka. And we're wishing you and yours and all of us a grand awakening.